Hello, and welcome back to Universal Love Law. Today, I wanted to take the time out to decode the divine feminine energy and why it's being brought up so much as far as a timeline throughout history. Also, I want to give a disclaimer that this information is totally up to you to take as truth. It's freedom of belief, right? All right, so let's jump into it. So, a lot of, like I say, when it comes to spirituality, it's very important for us to include history. We're so fascinated with the aspect of sacred geometry and things being mathematically um, depicted as well as scientifically depicted as far as the universe goes and how all things are created. But that's just one aspect of the bigger piece of the pie. And, my Sagittarius outlook, I like to look at the bigger picture of things. So when we talk about spirituality and understanding life and concepts like divine feminine and divine masculine, it's very important for us to understand that religion plays a major role in the breaking down of the divine feminine energy. Religion is what took away the divine feminine's power. And this happened years and years and years ago. So we want to look at the timeline in which religion was brought forth into an enforcement from the monotheistic outlook as far as like the Catholic Church and things of that nature. The building upon civilization and all of those forms of community, which were not the original forms, is what created an enforcement based on religious as law. It was a time where religious rules were very important and they were kind of law to communities that valued that form of serving of God. And so when we go back before religion was even implemented as a law or a part of how civilizations are formed and ruled upon, there were just communities that were based on spirituality, tribal settings and communities. These were your villages. These were our ancestors. These were advanced civilization like Kemet and Samaria and all of these older ancient groups and communities that formulated systems based on spiritual truth and higher knowledge, right? So when we talk about the divine feminine returning, it's just a cycle ending. It's the time we're living in. We label it so many things, but ultimately we have to look at life as there being laws, universal laws. The law of gender states that there is only feminine and there's only masculine. Everything is aspected from the yin and yang, the masculine and feminine. Now, when we go back, okay, like on the timeline when it comes to spirituality, we have to understand that it was a time in our ancient civilizations where matriarchal spirituality form was highly respected and served and loved and appreciated, and matriarchal societies were the worshiping of the feminine energy, and patriarchal society is when we had the more religious foundations built upon. And this was all due to the fight against masculine and feminine. When we go back in history, we understand that the men overthrew the women. You hear stories about the Amazon women and things of that nature where, it's depicted now as some type of fantasy Marvel comic. But ultimately, it's very subconscious for us. And as a human race, we have to remember that there are small there are things that are in our history that are still with us subconsciously moving forward throughout our entire lives and our generations to come. We will always feel the experiences of our ancestors. And so we may subconsciously create experiences that just reenact the times that we once were experiencing and living in. So patriarchal society was kind of just destroyed and looked over and secretly envied due to the hatred that was being developed in the masculine energy. There was a battle of the sexes. And this is why history is so important. As spiritualists, we need to make sense of where we're going by knowing where we were. I like to correlate the age of Pisces and the age of Aquarius into times, because it is basically a theme of the timeline, and we're talking about ages, okay? Multiple decades and centuries that have different events that were being taken place, times that were being recorded and stored in our memory, even if it's an aspect of us that we cannot really pinpoint, but we just feel it. We feel the inner knowing that something happened. And in the time of Pisces, even prior to it, there was a major battle of the sexes, which created the patriarchal society built and based on religion. Okay, this is a fact. It's important to do research and learn ultimate truth. We're so bogged down with race. We'll get to race soon, but we have to start with the first agendas, the original agendas. One being, of course, the battle of the sexes. That's going against natural order and natural law. We have to understand the waters run deep when it comes to the feminine energy, and they're equally respected and should be. But we have to understand that when we hear terminology like we're moving into the times where the divine feminine is coming back, that means that the matriarchal respect and the DNA activation of our memories from our ancestors, from the blindfold that was placed on our eyes into believing God is a man, him. This is what religion taught us. But in ancient times, we respected the masculine and feminine energy as a duality aspect of life, created from our creator, created from our universe, created from our source, or whatever one believes. Okay, so when we're talking about divine masculine and divine feminine, what we're experiencing in this time is the divine feminine reactivating and resurfacing into our reality as an ultimate truth. So I hope this video was able to bring forth some little pieces and bits of information as far as enlightening one into understanding what a spiritual teacher means when they say the divine feminine, the divine masculine, matriarch, patriarch, and the times, correlating the universal law of gender, the battle of the sexes, which was a time in our history that affected us generations to come, right? We're living in those times where it's an ending to the patriarchal society based on religion, where we believe God is him, and we take out the divine feminine. There's a burning anger and rage from the divine feminine. We have been demonized over time. Look at the story of Adam and Eve. Adam is the savior, whereas Eve is the evil one. Okay, we think of the Jezebel is the woman who is misleading and over sexualized. And there's always an agenda towards dividing and conquering over our race, of being human, of even being melanated, of being so many things, right, in our subdivision groups. But just overall, as a human race, there's always been power over um, the people by blindfolding us and keeping us blind from the ultimate truths of our ancestors. And knowing that there is a purpose to be served with the divine masculine and the divine feminine coming together as one in unity. And so we should look forward to knowing or hearing the term the divine feminine returning more than ever, because it is the time where there will be balance restored in the respect of both energies. Okay, I hope this information was helpful for you today. Have a great day or night, whichever time you see this video. Thank you so much for tuning in to Universal Love Law, and peace.